A couple of weeks ago, President Trump made the following pretty amusing proposal on Twitter. Quote, "We should have a contest as to which of the networks, plus CNN, not including Fox, is the most dishonest, corrupt, and/or distorted in its political coverage of your favorite president, parenthesis, me. They are all bad. Winner to receive fake news trophy, exclamation point." It seemed like a joke then, but apparently the other networks took it very seriously and started working to win. CNN hyped a WikiLeaks bombshell that went absolutely nowhere. ABC had to suspend Brian Ross after he falsely claimed evidence of pre-election collusion between Trump and Russia. Even old Dave Weigel of the Washington Post, who now has a mustache, got involved. He used a misleading photo to suggest Trump's rally in Pensacola was empty rather than packed. It was quite a week for the press, but instead of pausing for self-reflection, David Frum of The Atlantic said these bungled stories proved the importance of trusting the media.
The mistakes are precisely the reason that people should trust the media. Look, astronomers make mistakes all the time because science is a process of discovery of truth. Astrologers never make mistakes, or at least they never own up to them, because what they're offering is a closed system of ideology and propaganda.
So the mistakes are the reason you ought to trust the accuracy. Is it brilliantly counterintuitive or just stupid? That's the question. Joe Concha writes about media for The Hill. Molly Hemingway is a senior editor at The Federalist, and they both join us tonight. Molly, first to you. I don't begrudge anybody the right to make a mistake once in a while. I've made a ton of them, for sure. I just can't help but notice that all the mistakes that the different channels are making are in the same direction. All the mistakes seem to be kind of solidifying liberal views on things.
Right, and just in this last week alone, you mentioned a few of the stories, but you didn't even get all of the stories that
no,
there were mistakes.
Can't keep
there
track.
was, a false report about Deutsche Bank subpoenaing Trump financial accounts, and there were, there's many, and the New York Times said that K.T. McFarland had admitted collusion. She did not admit collusion. All these stories go in the same way. So if they want us to believe that these errors are just routine and they are just some things that happen occasionally, why are they all going in the same direction? If they truly were just accidents or things that happen as part of the job, you would expect to see errors go in different directions, errors that make Trump look good as well as bad. Or you would have expected to have seen the same level of erroneous reporting on Barack Obama. We did not see that.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that at all. So, Joe, again, people make mistakes, but if you're consistently wrong, and if you're way out over your skis making predictions that don't match reality, in any other business, you would be demoted or at least asked to take some time off. You'd be fired from the military. No one ever gets fired in the media except for groping others at Christmas parties. Have you noticed that?
Well, Brian Ross did get a 4-week suspension, so let's be clear about that. In the CNN case, there were no suspensions or reprimands in that particular instance. I keep hearing, and I saw this during the press briefing today, that reporters are saying, look, we just made mistakes. We're just trying to get to the truth. The problem is there is a rush to get to that every time. And the CNN example is perfect with the WikiLeaks story because, remember, the network went ahead with information that was read to them. And then the Washington Post did the right thing. They actually got the document that showed that the information was false. In essence, that Donald Trump Jr. and Trump associates received that information 10 days later. In other words, they took a little more effort and took a little more time and actually got the document. Now, and one more point, by the way, in terms of we hear about unnamed sources, right? These aren't innocent whistleblowers. These are political operatives, or they may even be lawmakers themselves, and they realize now they can weaponize false information because you have reporters that are like that Jim Comey analogy I used earlier in the year, seagulls at the beach that will eat anything and gobble it up regardless of the quality or even know what they're eating. And let me give you one more stat. Jim Sciutto, who is a foreign affairs correspondent for CNN, he pushed out this story, like everybody does when their network gets a big exclusive. And that got 2,300 retweets and 3,300 likes on Twitter. He then sends out the correction saying, no, we got it wrong, and this is what the story actually says. You know how many retweets that got? 52. And only 148 likes. I'm not very good at math, but I believe that's about 2%. So that's the thing. Even when the correction's done, the allegation always trumps the exoneration.
So, Molly, the substance of these stories, maybe not that's ridiculous Russia story or how many people went to some Trump rally. Like, in the end, who cares? But what if, if we were in a war or there were like an actual crisis in this country and nobody trusted media outlets, what would that do to our society?
It's a very dangerous thing to not be able to trust a media outlet or have a general confidence that the media will get a story right. But I actually think the substance is key here. What we've seen for the last year is an obsession with a story about treasonous collusion with Russia to steal an election. The substance of that is so important. It has undermined a legitimately elected president, and it has been something that the media have been hammering on day after day. I mean, multiple stories a day.
Yes.
What if the real scandal is that itself was an information operation, and that it was weaponized and it was distributed through the media, and our media people either willingly fell for it or unwittingly fell for it? Either of those scenarios is extremely dangerous, and it doesn't feel like we have a media complex capable of really digging into the significance of that story.
Right, because they're incapable of self-reflection, and I actually am starting to think that's exactly what it was. Wish we had more time. Molly, Joe, thank you both.
Thank you.
Almost every day brings out more signs the Department of Justice could be ideologically compromised in its investigations. We don't want to think that, but the evidence is mounting. Until this month, Bruce Ohr was a senior official at DOJ. He was demoted after it was discovered that he failed to disclose meetings with officials at Fusion GPS. You'll remember that's the firm responsible for the infamous Trump dossier. It has now been revealed that Ohr's wife actually works for Fusion GPS. Congressman David Cicilline represents Rhode Island. He's been following this case from the very beginning, and we've been talking to him about it. Congressman, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So the whole point of an independent counsel is to assure the public that things are on the level, that this is not a politically motivated investigation, so everyone can have confidence in the justice system, and that's a goal I think we all agree with. Given that, the daily revelation that people integral to this investigation are partisan shakes the public's faith. Is this a concern for you?
Well, I think, first of all, we have to say that there's an ongoing effort by my Republican colleagues to undermine the integrity of this investigation. We saw it in the Judiciary Committee last week. Let's start off with the facts. Robert Mueller, respected by everyone, Republican and Democrat alike, a career prosecutor, confirmed unanimously as FBI director. When he was confirmed, we had leading Republicans like McConnell say, I have a lot of confidence in Bob Mueller. I think it was a good choice. Newt Gingrich, Robert Mueller's superb choice to be special counsel. His reputation is impeccable for honesty and integrity. The media should now calm down. The list goes on and on. These are professionals who take an oath to the Constitution.
Okay, but
I
agree with you.
So and they have a responsibility to do that. If they don't, if they show any partisanship, any bias, any favoritism, they're subjected not only to removal from the case, they're subjected to losing their license to practice law.
But there are so many. Look, there is an effort.
No, there are two examples
of people who have it right here. Look, here's the point. There is an effort to undermine Mueller's credibility.
And why is that?
I've not been part of that.
No, I know you haven't. No, I'm not talking about you. But here's the thing.
But
the American people have to wonder. There's an ongoing effort to undermine the FBI. We had a hearing before the
let's just address the facts as they are, and then we can assess. So take Bruce Ohr. So he's the Associate Deputy Attorney General. He lied about having meetings with Fusion GPS where his wife worked, which is at the very center of this entire case.
Tucker,
that doesn't rattle you a little bit?
Tucker, what I really want to focus on is that when the special counsel learned of both Mr. Ohr and Mr. Strotz, they removed them from the case. One of them was demoted, but they were both removed. So I think
what about Aaron Zebley?
But that's evidence. But that's evidence that Robert Mueller is doing his job.
I guess
protecting the integrity of the investigation.
Wait a second.
Can I ask something to Tucker?
We've got a whole list of lawyers who work for Mueller who either represented the Clintons personally or gave money to their campaign.
Tucker, you know this. If prosecutors all over the country have political views, what they're required to do is set aside their personal beliefs, their ideology, their views on issues, and impartially do their work. Prosecutors do that all over America.
I agree with you. However, this is the most politically sensitive case in this generation.
And what we ought to be...
Jeannie Rhee represented the Clinton Foundation. Of all the lawyers in town, you hire someone who represented the Clinton Foundation for an investigation to Donald Trump? Are you joking?
Again, this is
a
set of extraordinary professionals who risk their lives defending the American people.
How has she risked her life?
Keeping us safe all over.
No, all I'm saying is... so they're an authority, so we just genuflect before that?
I'm not that.
Do you know anything about this one?
There are rules in place that prohibit prosecutors or people who work for the FBI to depart from the oath that they took. If they do that, they're subject to removal from the case. They can be sanctioned.
But how about...
They can lose their license to practice law.
But hold on. If you really care, as you say you do, about the impartiality of this, then respond. respond
No, Tucker, because
to Mueller's. Hold on. Mueller has appointed Andrew Weissman, his deputy, in this. Weissman is the one who emailed Sally Yates when she turned down the travel ban how in awe he was of her. He is a Democratic donor.
Tucker,
and
that clearly is not disqualifying. What you have to determine is can this person impartially and properly set aside their personal views and do their work as a professional.
If this were an investigation of Hillary Clinton, and
this
90%
is not an investigation of Hillary Clinton.
If it were, and 90% of the lawyers that the IG hired, the independent counsel hired, were Republican donors and had worked for Trump, you would say, what is this?
We could say Robert Mueller is a Republican. Rod Rosenstein, the one who...
Rod Rosenstein is a liberal Democrat. No, you're wrong.
No, I said Robert Mueller.
Wrong.
I said Robert
Rod
Mueller.
Rosenstein is a Democrat and a McCarthy.
I don't know whether he is a Democrat or not. Robert Mueller is definitely a Republican. My point is,
he's Republican?
Prosecutors are required to set aside their political views, their ideology. These are men and women and professionals who subject themselves to disciplinary action, and they can lose their license to
practice. But two of them have already been pulled
here. In
off
fact, the only reason
you're
Tucker,
filibustering.
No, Tucker. The only thing that's changed is Robert Mueller's getting closer to the president. All of a sudden,
then this is just a hack job. It's exactly what I thought it was.
These
are you're not addressing my specific questions about specific people.
What has
you're
changed?
They risk their lives.
What has changed in your assessment?
Nothing. I have been slow to judge because there's been a parade of people come out. Two have been demoted for partisan activities while working on the investigation.
Robert Mueller is someone who is respected by Republicans, Democrats, and
not by me anymore.
He's assembled a team of extraordinary professionals who are doing their work.
You're repeating a talking point.
It's not a talking point. I'm telling you.
A team of extraordinary professionals.
They are. These are men and women who risk their lives. So you can laugh about it, but you can laugh about them. But I tell you what, you trade places and be an FBI agent and risk their lives to keep America safe, which is what they do. And undermining them and attacking the rule of law in this country is a shameful
questions.
thing.
I get it.
No.
They're extraordinary.
Just attack the FBI because you're not going to like what he's doing.
I'm an American citizen, and I have a right to ask questions.
Of course you do, and so do I. And it's either to set up an
don't try to bully me with this.
No one can bully you. No one can bully you.
We're out of time, Congressman. But come back anytime.
Thanks for having me.